grace. We're here together by the grace of many devotees, and immediately by the grace of Leela Moy Prabhu, who's looking after this Zoom broadcast. And we're very happy to be with Maheshwari, with Jason. Jason, Hare Krishna, happy to have you with us. And Chintamani, somewhere on planet Earth, I expect. And Anu Krishna Didi in Brazil in the late night. And so we have Brazilian in the early morning here in Vila Govinda Ashram, means Leela Moy Prabhu. And we have Anu Krishna in the late night in Brazil itself. All right. So as we're coming together, and Ganga Leela Didi just joined us too. So as we've come together, let us just begin with Vandanam as devotees gather. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavangscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitantang Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitan Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitanscha Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuram Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Hare Krishna Namo Mahavaranyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvije Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivas Adi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. So, dear devotees, immediately also in the chat box from Chintamani, Dandavats from Australia. We thought you were on planet Earth. No, Australia, okay. And Ganga Leela Devidasi sending her Dandavats too. Hare Krishna. Okay, so dear devotees, and heart from Dhanake, and I know a heart from everyone. And Rupanuga Prabhu joining us from the car too. Hare Krishna. So on this side of the world, very clear blue skies. Perhaps Australia means Tasmania. Are you still in Tasmania? Chintamani or Rupanuga Prabhu? Okay, they're driving. They maybe also can't hear so well. Anyhow, the world, it is a big place, as we pointed out at the very beginning. Then it's very late at night in Brazil. It's very early in the morning in Vila Govinda Ashram. So the world is a big place, and Mahaprabhu's message has spread all around the world. And we all know the word tsunami. And yesterday we were thinking about the tsunami. We'd never heard of this, or I'd never heard of this word before the big tsunami that struck Western Thailand and Eastern India and killed, many people and did massive destruction with the force of that water. But a tsunami, there is an earthquake in the ocean somewhere, in the bed somewhere, there's a big eruption within the ocean, and then from that big eruption, then waves are naturally spread out. They spread out from that central place. And Mahaprabhu came with a tsunami of Krishna consciousness. And that wave, we are all fortunate to be, in one way or another, touched by that wave. And we may think that we are successfully avoiding the wave somehow, that we are, oh no, I'm keeping my material life at the same time. But as with a tsunami, once Mahaprabhu's grace has come, then Unfortunately and fortunately, our material world attachments, they must leave us. We may have many things in the world, but our focus that is everything. This is my life. This is my joy, like this. So that conception is going to leave us. And instead, we'll see things in relationship to Krishna, that everything belongs to Krishna. And we then shall then be responsible, not only citizens of the world, will be responsible jiva souls to Krishna's world, see everything in relation to him, and especially his devotees. So here we are on planet Earth, and wherever we are, then we are being touched by that great wave of Mahaprabhu's mercy. And many times we see the example of an ocean, an example of the waves, Tarangini, the ocean, the Samudra, and this week there have been many festivals. We also see that Haridas Thakur, when he passed away in the presence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, then just after that, Mahaprabhu himself bathed his body in the ocean. And then he declared that this ocean, this sea, has become now a great place of pilgrimage. But we in general think, oh, we need to go to Jagannath Puri and bathe in the sea at the place where Haridas Thakur was bathed. Or in that area, we may not know its exact location, but we've got within a few meters, more or less, we've got roughly where he was bathed, because we have Haridas Thakur's actual samadhi remaining in the world today, just there by the ocean, but up on the hill, so it doesn't get washed away. So we ourselves may think we need to go to Puri in order to bathe in that water. But Srila Gurudev, he told, explained, declared, revealed, whatever words you like to say, he clarified for us all that all salt water is considered now to be a great place of pilgrimage, that all the salt water, it is connected with Mahaprabhu's bathing of Haridas Thakur, and Mahaprabhu saying that from now on this sea has become a great place of pilgrimage. So wherever we are in the world, just as from one place many things are emanating, then from that place of Haridas Thakur's bathing, then the whole of the ocean has become a place of pilgrimage. And it is a very good reminder when we're somewhere very cold and we go to the ocean and we take some drops of water on our head, that the sea, it's not actually for our enjoyment. The sea is for us to remember the Lord and his pastimes. Everything is for us to remember the Lord and his pastimes. And there's Nadia Sundari smiling gently there. She lives right by the sea. Well, a few minutes cycle ride downhill and many minutes cycle ride uphill, we heard, from the ocean. Hare Krishna. Priya Sundari Devi Rasi joined us, Savitri joined us, Braja Sundari joined us. Several devotees in the last few minutes, they've come to join us. Hare Krishna, Radha Sundari in Mayapur also, clear place of pilgrimage. Braja Sundari, I heard, preparing to come to Thailand. So that's confirmed, we hope. Don't shake your head, just consider confirmed. Dana, when will we hear the confirmation of your travels to the devotees? But you are giving attention to your immediate duties, so you are responsible lady, not to worry. And Paramananda Prabhu joined too. Paramananda Prabhu, wonderful. And Savitri just nearby, over the Alps, up past Lake Como, along the river, turn left, over the pass, not that we don't have to climb to the top of the mountain, through the pass. And then we come to Savitri in Switzerland. And her mother right now is on pilgrimage. And she's on pilgrimage with Jai Kumar Prabhu, our dear friend Jai Kumar in India. And at some point on their way, I think Jaipur and Badrinath are two places they're going. Is that right, Savitri? Do you know what is the itinerary of your mother?
Yeah, I know. She goes to the Ganges River. I look what place. She texted me.
That will be Haridwar. Ganges for in that region probably will be going to Haridwar and Rishikesh.
I think so. Gotri.
Oh, Gangotri. Oh my goodness. Right up in the mountains. Yes.
It's
Not
like 3,000 meters.
It is like 3,000 meters. It's the Himalayas. And Gomukh is a little bit past there. Well, a little bit. You've got to put on your walking shoes, or if you're a real pilgrim, I suppose, bare feet. But you go further on from there to the actual glacier, from which, I mean, physically, it's the glacier from which the Ganges is flowing, originating. But of course, the Ganges originates from the very edge of the universe, as we all read, heard, remembered, were reminded this week when Vamanadev, the dwarf incarnation of the Lord, when he begged from Bali Maharaj 3 steps of land, then with his giant steps, it suddenly expanded with his second step. His foot touched to the edge of the universe and cracked the universe, cracked the shell of the universe in which we are living. And then the water seeped in, came gushing through, in fact. And then from there came down, by the prayer of all the devotees, they prayed to Lord Shiva, you are very powerful, you can do anything. The universe inside is going to be destroyed by the force of the Ganges water. Please, we pray to you, please do something. Oh, Lord Shiva said, of course. It's Lord Vishnu's foot wash. I'll sit there and take it on my head. I'll take Lord Vishnu's foot wash on my head, and as an example to us all, to take the holy water and the holy foot dust, the holy things from the lowest part of the Lord, his feet. We take that on our head. What to speak of the highest, the higher things. Hare Krishna. So the Ganges is coming down and then coming down to this world. And her mum, Arundhati, she's going to go to Gangotri, but I do know Badrinath is on the list of where she's visiting, because that's what particularly struck me, that she'll be able to go to Veda Vyasa's cave. Hare Krishna, where Vyasadeva wrote the scriptures, actually where Vyasadeva revealed, collected the scriptures and narrated, and Ganesh wrote. Hare Krishna. And so this week has been an intense week for everyone. Let me just look in the chat box. I see a chat. Oh, Gangalila. I also live 2 blocks from the ocean. Very good. Now, at every moment when you feel the wind coming from the ocean, then you feel that blessed air, the blessed air from the blessed ocean, blessed by the bathing of Haridas Thakur, by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the presence of super gathering of Vaishnava associations, Swarup Damodar, Ramananda Roy, others, the topmost devotees, topmost eternal associates of the Lord were there. Yes, Paramananda Prabhu, you look remarkably peaceful for your busy Japanese visit. So it's our good fortune. From your the peaceful ocean, you can fish some fish from your peaceful ocean, some fish of Krishna Katha, tasty Krishna Katha fish. Paramananda Prabhu now thinking, what
Is
will
that a
be
request, Maharaj?
truthful? He's thinking, what will be truthful, what will be beneficial, and what will be pleasing to hear.
Certainly not coming from me, those things. You put up a very high standard, Maharaj.
Is there any question from anyone? Actually, I mean, on the theme of back to basics.
And actually, any would help.
That's Hare Krishna. I just wanted to also, when Maharaj, when you're relaying the pastime of Mother Ganga, and there's also where someone prayed for her to come past Navadvip, because to resurrect his family members. I'm a little bit confused there because, yes, I don't know if that connects or did she then come to Navadvip because of his prayers? Or, yeah, I'm not sure. Yes, this pastime that you're saying and that pastime, I'm a bit confused there.
Yes, well, everything is... Oh, sorry, I'm not answering.
No,
well, everything is connected. It's not disconnected because it's connected with the Ganges. But this is a pastime of the Ganges. But let us come to Paramananda, and he knows who it is. This is a question I can answer, at least to identify who he is. But Paramananda knows, and also in Navadip Dham Mahatmya, which is a super book for us always to read. And then we've got some descriptions there, which you are referring to. So Paramananda, please, over to you.
Okay, we can start from a verse from Bhagavad Gita. Janma karma chame divyam evam yaveti tattvataha tyaktva punarjanma naitimam vetti sarjana. Those who knows my appearance, the true reason and the divine purpose of my appearance and my activities, will certainly not going to be the part of this mundane illusion. So Krishna have many different pastimes. So many that sometimes even he, the Supreme Personality of God, is confused which one is next. I mean, we can say that because he's got some secretaries who are responsible for managing and creating that. That's Yogamaya and Baladev and so many others. And when he appears, he doesn't come to fulfill a single purpose. There's always a very complex, infinitely complex lila, of which we can perceive just a tiny bit, just a tiny speck of the whole scale of it, infinite scale of the infinite purposes of the lilas of the Lord. So we hear so many different stories, and we may say, oh, this story contradicts another, or something is wrong, it doesn't chronologically fit in, or there are too many people in between. So it's all have the place to exist. There's no doubt about it. Like Maharaj just mentioned, so Trivikram, he's making his third step accidentally. Can it be accidental in his case? He can pretend it's all accidental, but it is not. So he makes the hole in the coverings of the universe, and celestial Ganges starts flowing into the universe, and there's a situation. But in the same time, there's so many different leelas happening in the same time in so many different dimensions. It's like a infinitely layered cake, and Sanatana Goswami touches that subject in Brihad Bhagavatamritam. So there is a need for liberation of Bhagirath, King Bhagirath ancestors, who were incinerated by Lord Kapila I mean, just think about this whole situation here. They disturbed Lord Kapila. Maharaj, remember how many were there? 50,000, that's the number I remember.
A lot.
Okay, so all those ancestors, how are they related? Do not ask me. Long time ago, they found Lord Kapila and they were in the urgency to ask him a question or inquire for a help. He was in a deep meditation. Somehow they disturbed the meditation. The first thing that happened, there was this release of accumulated tejas, it's called in Sanskrit, which resulted in him opening the eyes and incinerating everybody into the ashes right in front of him. And then you may ask, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead as well. He's one of the avatars. How is that they need liberation? They just got liberated by him. Again, do not ask these questions. Don't dwell on them. There is always a reason and there is always a need for the pastime. So King Bhagirath, generations after, he is thinking, what shall I do? How can I help them? This thing happened. I feel they haven't gotten their peace. They're still stuck somewhere. So then he gets, after the austerities, he gets some revelation that if a Ganges touches the ashes of those ancestors, then for sure, certainly they will be liberated. And then he goes into thinking what to do, because like Maharaj just mentioned, that the Ganges flow with her whole force on earth, the earth will be destroyed. It's so powerful. So he has a dilemma, and I'm just cutting the long story short. He approaches the Lord Shiva, prays to him, performs austerities. It's not without austerity. There is always an austerity in between. It's not like, oh, yeah, okay, Lord Shiva, okay, let me just go to him and ask him. No, a lot of austerity is involved just to approach Lord Shiva. Then Lord Shiva is granting him his darshan, and he is submitting this humble request. And even though his reason is to liberate his ancestors, in the due process, the whole universe is actually benefited and liberated. And Lord Shiva happily accepts that request. And Maharaj said it's a foot wash of, foot wash of Lord Vishnu, why not? I'd be very happy, I'd be blessed. So yes, I will take it. And according to the legends and stories and realities, he makes a little out of his dreadlocks, he makes a little space. So the Ganges, he's the head of Lord Shiva, but he's very powerful. He's able to withstand the force of the Ganges and accepting the Ganges, and it flows down his hair. And that's where Gangotri is. That's where the Savitri mother is going to. And what are we seeing Lord Shiva there? Is it actually true? It is true, but a mother may not be able to see Lord Shiva. I'm not making a statement, an absolute statement. Everything is possible. It depends on the level of her devotion and the desire of the Lord to reveal the reality. So she may see the Lord Shiva there in a full, complete meditation in Himalayas. Is it near, Maharaj, where is that Gangotri? Is it nearing Kailas mountain or?
Well, I'm not fully sure where Kailash is, but I think the answer is no. My understand, anyway, I'll have to look on a map. I understand that Kailash is further east, as far as I know. But actually, I need to, somebody can check, maybe.
I mean, he is Lord Shiva. He can be in many different places at the same time. Not as many as Krishna, though, I have to mention that. And we also hear from Maharaj mentioned Navadip Dhammahatmya, and the story about how Ganges, King Bhagirath and all of that, how the Ganges is following King Bhagirath, and Ganges really wants to stop in that place because Ganges is fully aware. This is where Mahaprabhu will descend, the most beautiful, the most merciful. Krishna Swayam Bhagavan in this beautiful form of a devotee. And then she stays there for some days, and then they continue. So all of that is actually a part of one big reality, infinitely layered reality. So all those stories They're not just stories, they're actually the reality. They're not just legend, they are the reality. So one of the offenses of the Holy Dham that Madhusudana Maharaj wants us to remember is to consider this place barely a mundane plane or anything related, all the stories and events that happen there, considered them to be fairy tale or legend, is one of the offenses of the Holy Dham. So do not think that those things are not real. They're all real. You can blame yourself for lacking the capacity to understand and to see it and to comprehend the scale of Lord Leela. But it is not just happened, it is happening constantly in this very moment. It's always going on. It's ongoing Leela. It's eternal, nitya, never stopping. And it's not, again, one-dimensional. Like I had one conversation with one devotee who would argue the point that if Krishna Leela, whatever is in Bhagavatam, this is what Krishna Leela is. And nothing beyond Bhagavatam is possible. But then we also hear that whatever is described in Bhagavatam, again, is just a speck, a tiny, a moment of Krishna Leela. So it is going on in so many different variations. And again, Sanatana Goswami, the saints, they can see it and they can give us a glimpse of that to the degree where we can at least understand it a little bit. I mean, they're not opening the whole scale of that because that's impossible for us to comprehend. Our mind will explode, which is a good thing, actually. And we hope that one day the mind will stop putting all those obstacles and a curtain, illusion that not allows us to see the reality of Krishna Lila. And also Maharaj started with the ocean theme. Devotees were eagerly saying about their proximity to the oceans and seas, describing that. And there's a beautiful verse expressed by one of the Mahaprabhu's associates, a very saintly personality. So he said, Avatirne Gaurachandre Vistirna Prema Sagare Soprakashita Ratnogheyo Dina Dina Evasa. So he expressed that Mahaprabhu, when he descended, he not only came himself, he also brought with him the ocean of prema, something even Krishna cannot give. I mean, really, Krishna cannot give prema. He is Krishna after all. Prema you can get only and exclusively from a devotee of Krishna. They are possessing that. That's their wealth. So when Mahaprabhu came, he brought the whole ocean. And that saintly personality is saying that the fortunate souls, they're diving in that ocean and they're collecting the gems deposited by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu there. But those who do not do that, they are to be considered the poorest of the poor. But the good fortune is, again, expressed by a different personality, saintly personality. He said that regardless of believing or not believing, having faith or not faith, everybody is touched by that ocean. When the ocean is inundating, I mean, you either drown or you float. No one is unaffected. Everybody is affected to a different degree. And he describes the fortunate souls that are drowning in that ocean of prema. And the less fortunate souls, they're floating on the surface. And yet they're still affected. They experience effects, but it may take time. Maharaj.
Jai, yes. And according to our capacity, then we'll get benefit when we bathe in the Ganges, bathe in the ocean, bathe in any holy place. And actually, according to our capacity, we will get benefit. There may be so many auspicious things flowing, but if we have a thick iron covering around us, then we're going to be like the deep sea research modules or something where you've got a thick iron shell around you to protect you from the the ocean around. But we are building that thick iron shell by our false ego. And so our false ego, it is a big problem for everybody. Hare Krishna. And Srila Guru Maharaj said about the Ganges, he said, and the Ganges, that will give benefit according to one's capacity. He said, the buffalo, he is going to the Ganges, but he's not lying in the Ganges in Krishna Prema. But others, they will go to the Ganges, and by the touch of that water, they will be in ecstasy. So again, Krishna, the Ganges also, it is touched by, in this world, the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. It's touched in this world by the lotus feet of Mahavishnu, of Shiva, of all greatest personalities, and touched in the form of the pastimes of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So when we go to the Ganges, again, we must also be careful about everything, and especially the holiest of places. And going to Gangotri, well, it would be, I have to admit, I did go to Gangotri a long time ago, and yes, with devotees, and I have to admit, I didn't pluck up the courage to bathe in the water, but I did remember Srila Guru Maharaj's words and how really not physical things. And I thought, well, if I bathe in the water here, it's so incredibly cold that I thought, well, I'm not Russian, I'm not Ukrainian. What will happen to me if I suddenly go into this cold water? Russians, Ukrainians, no problem. But we are fishes of a warmer climate. Hare Krishna. But certainly went there, and it was, I mean, it's a big meditation. Or certainly went to the banks of the Ganges there, and it's a big meditation, really, to be in a place which is so famous, and by the banks of the river, which is so famous. I mean, in this way, and thinking about others who have been there before, and in particular, we know that Nityananda Prabhu. Well, let's say in particular, we know Nityananda Prabhu and others. So Nityananda Adi, Nityananda heading. There's so many devotees who've made such pilgrimages and been there at these holy places. But Srila Guru Maharaj, about the Ganges, he also told that Veda Vyas, he gave the scriptures, he gave the Vedas, he gave Srimad Bhagavatam at Badrik Ashram. And there, Guru Maharaj saying so, at the source of the Ganges, more or less, I mean, we don't have to pinpoint a geographical dot on the map, but at the source in the Himalayas, then Veda Vyas gave the scripture. But then the Ganges matures from, we can say a small river to a big river by the time it gets to Navadip. So in Navadip, the Ganges has reached its maturity on its way to the ocean. And in a similar way, the Vedas were presented by Veda Vyas in the Himalayas, and the Vedas have reached their maturity in Navadip with Mahaprabhu and Mahaprabhu's pastimes in Navadip. So we have different analogies, different examples to help us to understand that where we are in the course of time, where we are in the course of the guidance of the Lord through his own example and the example of his devotees. And so here we are with our heart and our spiritual center, whether we know it or not, in Navadip. Even the railway station in Navadip, it's got Navadip Dham, or yes, Navadip Dham. Then underneath, in English, it's got the birthplace of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. at the railway station. So it is remembered and recognized. It's the appearance, we would say appearance place, but it's the appearance place, the birthplace of Mahaprabhu, who is bringing that great wave of Krishna Prema. And how many times we read Krishna Prema, Krishna Prema, Krishna Prema in Chaitanya Charitamrita, in the songs of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, Narottam Das Thakur, etc., in Chaitanya Bhagavat, in all these descriptions of the pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his devotees. But Krishna Prema, very, very rare thing to understand. And even in this world, you see how, okay, starting from like the atheistic side, everything comes from the Big Bang, from matter, denying the Lord, you know, openly or hiddenly, however much appreciating the beauty of the world, denying that beauty has been manifested from the beautiful. I mean, sorry to say, but National Geographic and all these, and so many like that, they are showing the beauty, but ignoring, avoiding any talk of the origin of all the beautiful manifestations. But from this world, losing my thread there. What was my sentence just before mentioning about the origin of the beauty? I was on a theme.
Raj, Ganges reaching its maturity, Navadvip Dham, railway station, appearance, not birth, etc.
Yeah.
etc.
And the rarity, yes, so the theme, I got lost on that track because it's so amazingly foolish that, you know, practically, but it's that the origin of beauty is ignored. So anyway, from the atheistic side, where we're ignoring the Lord or just thinking, well, the Big Bang is an amazing thing. Now, from that atheistic side, then coming to the God-conscious side, having awareness that we have to give some honor to senior persons in this world who look after the wind, the rain, the food, the vitality of the soil. How does soil get its vitality? So all over the world, from very primitive areas onwards, there is appreciation for the gifts that have come from the Lord, and that we should offer things back, show our gratefulness, from a general understanding. And then to the Mayavad understanding. Okay, there's a great power, but it's impersonal. And then to the Vishnu understanding, so, or the Devas, the gods of this world, and then to the Supreme Lord, Vishnu, understanding about the greatness of Sri Vishnu Narayan. But then to come to the Krishna conception. All of this is going finer and finer, or more mature and more mature. And then within the Krishna conception, there's unlimited varieties of relationships with Krishna. And then coming to the relationships of what's called Madhura Rasa in Vrindavan, which we worship, we touch, we hear from the pure devotees. But then this whole idea of Krishna Prema, this like ecstatic love of God in the highest aspect of all accommodating, all affectionate, all fulfilling relation with the Lord, then this maturity, this has now come to this world, which is so, so rare. And yet we still see that in the modern world, all these other, from 0 or minus to 0, and then in the plus side, still we see that they are prominent. Mahaprabhu was with Venkatabhata for 4 months of the rainy season. The Lord himself, as the perfect devotee, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, was with Venkatabhata, pure devotee. But he was very fixed in the Narayan, Lakshmi Narayan understanding of, but this is supreme, and Krishna comes from Narayan. And after 4 months, then finally, Venkatabhata, oh, Krishna is the origin of Narayan. And Mahaprabhu, no doubt, had passed this idea behind him a few times before that. But then you see, he was a pure devotee, pure in God consciousness, Narayan consciousness. But then that rarity of Krishna consciousness, that is being given by Mahaprabhu, the maturity of the Vedas teachings. And so when we bathe in the Ganges, we will come to bathe with this idea that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that maturity of Krishna consciousness, he gave so much honor to the Ganges. And after taking sannyas, then he agreed, for his mother's suggestion, to stay in Puri, so that the devotees of Bengal, who he grew up with and who were heartbroken that he would take sannyas and thus have to leave his hometown, then they agreed with Mother Sachi's request that he stay in Puri. But Mahaprabhu said, yes, this is a good idea. And then after 5 years of taking sannyas, after 5 years of receiving sannyas, then Mahaprabhu, he had that desire that once more I shall go to the Ganges and I shall go to meet my mother. I shall go and see the place of my appearance, and hence my mother will be there. But he mentioned 2 places, his mother and the Ganges. And by the way, I think it's Chaitanya Charitamrita where Mahaprabhu is described as, among his infinite names and infinite qualities, the best son of a mother. And the best, something like the best appreciator of his mother. Something like this. Very beautiful description of Mahaprabhu. He was not heartless. He had full heart. Hare Krishna. Every mother, every father too, would want a son like Mahaprabhu, no doubt. If your child turned out like Mahaprabhu, I think you'd be a little happy. But I think you'd also be a little unhappy if you were suddenly told, oh, but you have to leave now, your life in separation. Hare Krishna. Anyhow, when devotees do go on pilgrimage, a little part of us does go with them, we have to say, and so they are going on behalf of us all. But it is clear that physical pilgrimage, it is not the goal of our life. The goal of our life is to chant the holy names without offense and render service 25 hours a day, 8 days a week. And pilgrimage is a battery charger. And again, what is the value of pilgrimage? Is really to be in association with the devotees. And when we go to these places, to knock out of our head any selfish idea that I'm going for me to clear my sins and then this, that, and the other. It is a very mundane conception of what is brilliantly spiritual, if we will have the opportunity to see in that way. And how we see the world is what is the entire instruction of the Vedas. How to see the world, how to approach the world. It's all about consciousness, not about physical things. Hare Krishna. And by the way, Seva Rupadiri, in case I don't get to answer you, you had 2 questions. The answer is yes to both of them. And we can expand on that later. But anyhow, because the day is running, and the day tends to run, and I received your message of yesterday evening. Yes. Hare Krishna. And Keshavananda Prabhu also is going to India for helping, assisting, but not with that party. I mean, we all have our assistants by heart for that, but I think some other devotees, he's going to India very soon also. On his way to Thailand, he's going there, and he will be going, maybe not to Gangotri, but Keshavananda has a very happy heart for Rishikesh, and not the Rishikesh of the cheating Rishikesh, but the Rishikesh of Rishi, the Rishi's place. And he has a secret place which he has revealed to me, which I'm very happy to know about. A secret place to bathe in the Ganges and to give honor to the Ganges, to chant japa by the Ganges, to read. A beautiful place where the water's still as cold as everywhere else. And neither he nor I have been able to fully chant our Gayatri while submerged in the Ganges. There, lower, yes, in Navadip, of course, but there we both tried. But to chant full 10 of each Gayatri, submerge, at least half submerged, that's a big challenge there. But it's, again, a wonderful place. And like the banks of the Mandakini, the banks of the Saraswati, the banks of the Godavari, the different, I mean, so many holy rivers. India has many holy rivers, many holy places, and India, if we can see through the eyes of Guru Maharaj, of Gurudev, of Nityananda Prabhu, if we can see through the eyes of the great souls who do reveal the qualities of places, then we will see that India is crisscrossed by auspiciousness. But at the same time, we must admit, especially if it's your first time to India and you get off a plane, India is also crisscrossed with Maya. It's not that it's the place of the perfect society. It has everything. The yin and the yang, as the Japanese would say, and Paravananda's in Japan. And I don't know which is meant to be the good, the yin or the yang, or the yang or the yin, but these opposites are always running.
It must be present together, Maharaj, for the full harmony. External energy, internal energy, one source of both.
And by the way, we're very happy to have Madhava Prabhu with us, Jagamohini Devi Dasi with us, and others and Haridas Prabhu, and on the Facebook. And please, I know that principally we're on the Zoom, but we know that on Facebook devotees do watch, and we appreciate the presence of you all in the live as we are now, but also in the recording, which is the same as live, really. It's just that it's recorded. We couldn't do that years ago. It was not possible. Now it is possible. It is one of those mystic things. And even the aeroplane, sort of mystic. 350 tons of metal flying for 13 hours in the sky at a fast speed. That is kind of amazing. I know it can all be explained by physics, but still it's amazing. And Mahaprabhu has allowed it. So please, no complaints about a flight being 1 hour late after it's done, like 6,000 kilometers. After all, I remember when I was young, I really used to always think that flying was cheating. It's not real travel. And it's not real travel, it's transporting. Like the TARDIS of Doctor Who. that I was introduced to by a devotee who walked into some telephone box and I think dialed a number maybe, and then he arrived wherever he dialed the number to. Don't quite know how that worked, but it's science fiction. But science fiction reaches reality. But reality means still illusion, isn't it? But science fiction kind of a little bit has come alive over the years. Well, I'm a bit exhausted going on pilgrimage, especially to the Ganges and up into the Himalayas. This week we went on pilgrimage. We went on pilgrimage to Montebaro, where Srila Gurudev had his, came the last time before Vila Govinda was manifested. So we went to Montebaro with our Brazilian team. Two cars of devotees. And we went to the top of mountain, Baro, the name of the mountain, Baro with 2 R's. And we were thinking of so many devotees who went to the top of that mountain when Gurudev was here, and since in mood of pilgrimage. And we went there happily in that mood. And Marco, not the owner or the big manager, but the maintainer, I think ISKCON would say temple commander who looks after everything. Then Marco, he still works in that place. The Marco who was there, I mean, I know it's Italy, half the population are called Marco, but this Marco, he was running the place, looking after the place when Gurudev was there. And still, he says, these are the best days of my life. You're the best people who ever came here. And Gurudev leaves his mark on everybody. And of course, with the big gathering of people chanting loudly, Hare Krishna, then, you sort of remember things like this. But such a nice man, and he's still there and happily shows the devotees. And we feel the place is vibrating with Gurudev and the Harinam Sankirtan and his Harikatha. And the trees around all heard, so we're very happily with the trees. So we also had a little mini pilgrimage, but at the same time, then we are in the place that Gurudev wanted in Italy, where it's all manifested by his wish, and the place where he had, you could say, most of his pastimes, well, certainly most of his pastimes for the last 2 visits, which were very substantial. So, in one sense, no need to go anywhere, but in another sense, with the devotees, to go to the places of the devotees' pastimes. As well as last weekend also, yes, we went on Harinam Sankirtan in Lecco and tried to get a smile out of the policemen, but their job is not to smile. But I saw tapping their hands in beat of chanting Hare Krishna, I saw, but no smile. They wanted to dance, I know. Hare Krishna. And the previous, not this one, and the previous one, maybe when somebody was there with us when we on Sankirtan, not maybe a few months ago, not so long ago, we were doing Sankirtan. And it's a lot of it is a pedestrian area, pedestrian shopping, but old town pedestrian. And the only cars that go down there are the police. The police patrol in their cars, so they go very slowly in their cars, and they're watching and patrolling. And we were following a police car all the way through, and it's almost like we had a police escort because they were going very slowly. So we even, instead of being a little rude and overtaking them, we stayed behind them all the way. So we didn't overtake a police car, and we stayed behind, but it was kind of sweet that it looked to the public almost like we had a police escort, which was kind of good. I don't know if they were tapping their hand to the rhythm or not, but at least they heard the Maha Mantra. Hare Krishna. I have a private chat here. Why a private chat? Oh, which year was Gurudev there? Well, you'll have to ask to Munindra Mohana Krishna Kanta. But the ashram here is now 21 years old. So last year was 20th anniversary. And the installation of the deities. This year, 21 years old, which is also a date, an age, isn't it, when in the West they regard now you can vote, now you can do this or that. You're 21 years old, considered as an adult. Not by Gurudev. Gurudev considered 40 years old. A boy is a boy until he's 40 years old. Then he's a man. So, but Ramananda Prabhu is asking, when was Gurudev here? So it must be more than 21 years ago. So try 23 and you're going to be in about the right place, aren't you? You might not be right, but you're going to be, as you Americans say, in the ballpark. In the ballpark.
Yeah, I was there on that year, but I don't remember which year.
Ah.
Yeah. Me, Yudamani Prabhu, many devotees. Yeah, we all 12, 13 devotees went with Gurudev to whole trip from USA.
And so would you like to share any pastime from Montebaro? But you were there at that. They rent, so Montebaro, for those who don't know, it's maybe you could say a retreat center. It's got halls, it's got large rooms, it's got many rooms, it's got cooking facilities. It now is a hostel, like a youth hostel, and you can cheaply rent bunk beds, instead of, the usual holiday things, which are exorbitantly priced hotel rooms. But they rented the whole place, and it wasn't like being commercially run so much at that time. So it's a big place. It's on the side. It's halfway up, or more than halfway up a mountain on a zigzag road. And I did wonder how Gurudev managed that road. But the driver will have gone slowly together. The driver must have taken care with Gurudev, because it's very zigzaggy to go up. But Ramananda Prabhu, please share at least something, one thing that stands out for you for our nourishment of Gurudev's pastimes at Montebaro.
Sorry, I don't remember much. It was long ago. Only I remember I was there with the trip. With Gurudev, we went to Italy, then we went to Switzerland. We went to France also. We had nice program in Switzerland with that devotee's house. Yeah. That's all I remember. I don't remember. It was so long ago. Yeah.
In Switzerland, he's at Prita Krishna Prabhu, I believe.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, Prita Krishna Prabhu, his wife, and they had one son. Now maybe big, 20-year older, maybe more. Yeah, that time he was 5 or 7 years old. I remember. Yeah.
Jai. Yeah. I just saw a little chat in the chat box too from Seva Rupa. Said, I saw the panda joining the Harinam. So if you're wondering what that is, that's the Harinam. Yes. This last weekend, there was, how there are street performers and like this, that, and the other in the pedestrian areas. And there was a giant panda. And I don't know who was inside the panda, but they had a good heart. And he was dancing in Harinam. So he was dancing, and the people, it helps. People are happy with Harinam. And they're going there to Lecco, that most of them are tourists. they're going there. Maybe they've come from Milan, for local tourists, not necessarily from far away. But they're coming to, have a happy day out. But really, all they're doing is, shopping and eating, going to the restaurant and being happy to, pay a lot of money for some dead fish, things like this. And, so the devotees, they do cheer people up. We see it. Mostly they cheer people up. And, this panda was a happy panda. It means all dressed up in the costume. And how tall? 3 meters? 2.5 meters. He was a tall panda. All right, devotees. Well, we've been in the Ganges, we've been in Navadip, we've been in Badrinath, Gangotri. But above all, we've been here with the devotees who, following the great acharyas, Srila Gurudev, Srila Guru Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada, following the great acharyas, and then we are trying to do what they expect from us, to keep on going, to keep within the barriers of boundaries that they've given us for our devotional practices, not to make things complicated. Chant Hare Krishna, be happy, take prasadam, be with devotees, render service, and make our lives successful. So here we are participating in such a way, and happy to be in the association of you all, and chanting and dancing in our hearts. And Abhinava Sundar and Kelly Kadamba driving somewhere too. Hare Krishna, driving to Thailand. Well, you need an amphibious vehicle if you're going to drive from Australia to Thailand. But from here, Italy, we could drive to Thailand. When I was young, okay, we won't go there, but we used to drive or be driven, go by land everywhere. Hare Krishna. Jai Srila Gurudev Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. Jai Srila Guru Maharaj Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Rokhok Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj Ki Jai. And Jai Srila Prabhupada Om Vishnupad Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Jai. And Jai Bhagavan Om Vishnupad Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Ki Jai. Jai Srila Gaura Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur Ki Jai. Shri Jagannath Das Babaji Maharaj Ki Jai. Our whole Shri Rupanuga Guru Vaga Ki Jai. Jai Navadip Saparika Shri Shri Guru Gauranga Gandhava Govinda Sundar Ju Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswata Mat Ki Jai. Jai all the assembled Vaishnavas Ki Jai. Shri Chaitanya Saraswata Acharya Brinda Ki Jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. And Jai, the ending of the 1 month long festival of Sri Hari Smaran in Sri Chaitanya Saraswat Mat Ki Jai. The intense month for the devotees. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol.
Jai Srila Bhakti-Ranjan Madhusudana Maharaj Ki Jai.
And to all of you quiet devotees and the noisy devotees, to all of you our appreciation, our obeisances, and to all of you on Facebook, on Zoom, and seeing the recorded version, our appreciation, obeisances, and hoping for the gracious glance of each of you, all in memory and in service to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Hari Bol. Govinda Govinda, Damodar Prabhu, Leela Prabhu, Mukunda Prabhu, any who I have not mentioned, please excuse, but appreciation everywhere. Nitai Gaura Premanandi, Hari Bol. Ami.
Thank you so much, Maharaj. Thank you.
Govinda
Dhanyavad,
Govinda.
Maharaj. Thank you so much.
Dandavad. Ami Ashti.
Ami Jachi.